Hi, Maggie Harding here with the Graphic 45 design team. Today I'm going to show you how to make a nice little Christmas gift. It's going to be a little gift box, and you could put jewelry or candy or whatever it's small inside the box. I'm using one of our Staples ATC book boxes. It comes with a set of tags in it, and you could even make a little tiny mini out of it by using the tags. So you're going to need one ATC book box, and then you're going to need some paper. I'm using Christmas Carol. The first thing we're going to do is build the roof. Now I've done a template for you, and this can be downloaded from my blog. When you print out the template, be sure you measure and make sure that the measurements are as I've specified, because I know that sometimes when you print things, they seem to change size a little bit. So be sure you check the measurements, okay? All right, let's get started. Now, I have already cut two gable ends here. I've notched the peak because these are going to be folded. Let me show you what we're going to do. So now I'm just going to score this. Let's see, I want to do it from this side. I'm going to score this on the fold line. I am using Colorbox Graphic 45 Decades ink. This is called Triumphant Red, and it matches the Graphic 45 papers really nicely. As you know, when you fold the paper, sometimes little bits of white will show, so I like to ink it all real well. Okay, those are our gable ends. Now, for the roof itself, we've got this template. I'm not using chipboard, but I'm using a strong, like the cardboard that comes in a shirt or something like that. So a cereal box, something like that. If it's too heavy, it's not going to fold nicely. So that's why I like this one. Now, let's see. On the template is a very faint red line. You don't cut or fold anything there, but when you put the roof together, that is where the gables are going to attach like that. Can you see? Okay, now the next thing I'm going to do is put some paper around the edges of the roof so that when you look at it from underneath, you don't see raw cardboard. So I've just cut some 1/2-inch strips. Just gonna glue it on. Okay, that looks good. Now, before we go any further, let's ink those edges. Okay, now it's time to glue our gables on, and they're going to go about 1/4 of an inch from the edge, so I'm just going to mark that so I'll have an idea where to place them. I'm going to do just one side at a time. You got to be sure you get that point right in the fold. And you could use glue, you can use score tape. I like to use glue because it gives me the flexibility of being able to move it around a little bit while I'm getting my placement perfect. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. The downside is that, of course, it doesn't dry instantly, and if you're not careful, it's going to move on you. So you've got to be careful about that. For the surface of the roof. You could just cover it with paper if you like. But I'm going to make shingles, I think. So what I'm using is this piece of paper. This is from the 8x8 pad. And I've just cut it in rows. Here's one before I've cut it. This is Yuletide Greetings, and I've just cut it straight like so. 4 stamps fits perfectly. Okay, I'm gonna take my scissors and I'm gonna cut halfway up between each stamp, okay? The reason I'm doing that is I just want it to be a little bit curled so that it's gonna look a little bit like shingles. And you might want to ink your edges. Before I put the shingles on, I'm just going to color around this edge. You can use ink, paint, whatever. I just like these Faber-Castell big brush pens. That's just in case you have any little part of it showing. Okay, so I've made little marks on my roof here measuring 7/8 inch down from the peak, 7/8, 7/8, and then the bottom one goes wherever it goes, which I think it's about 1/4 of an inch is going to hang off. Then when you put your next set of shingles on, you want to make them so that they overlap like this. Be sure to cut between each of your shingles so that you can curl them up a little bit like shingles have a tendency to do. Okay, now it's time to alter the inside of the box. Now again, I've used a Faber-Castell big brush pen to go around the edges here and, oops, missed this one, to ink the outside edges. You can use regular ink too, which I just like this. And so we're going to fit pieces here. And this piece right here is 4 3/4 inches by 3 3/8. You want to ink the edges of all of that. The ink that I'm using again is Color Box chalk ink in deep green. So that piece is going to fit there, and then this piece is 2 3/8 by 4 3/4. That's going to fit there. Now I've also cut some little strips here, and these are going to fit up here. They're about 1/4 of an inch wide. You'll have to just kind of see how much width you can take because you want to tuck it up under the box if you can. And there's usually just a little tiny bit where you can tuck. So that's what you want to do. Now let's put our other pieces on. I'm going to switch over to zip dry glue because I just like it. Okay, now we're going to do around the sides. First I'm going to ink my edges. Okay, so you're gonna, the back side here, and then you're gonna wrap it over the lid. Okay, now to attach the roof, you're gonna need 2 little scraps of paper, about 1 inch wide, a couple inches long. My scraps happen to be 2 1/4, but that, you know, doesn't have to be perfect. Then you want to score them at the 1/2 inch mark. What we're going to do is we're going to glue these to the inside of the gable like that. Then we're going to put glue here, and that's going to attach to the lid. This is a little bit tricky, but it'll work. And I want to ink this up just in case any of it shows. Shouldn't, but you know how that goes. Now, when you glue this on, you want to be sure that it's perfectly flush with that end of that gable. Okay, after you get your tabs glued on, then you want to put some adhesive on one side. I'm going to use score tape here. And okay. Line this up perfectly and then press it down. Okay. Then we can put I should have put the score tape on both sides, but I didn't. So let's put this on now. Okay. You've got to be careful. You want to make sure the glue actually, or there we go. Okay, we have a house with a roof. I think that's cute. Now comes the fun part. We get to embellish it. Okay, I have this cute little fairy door from Creative Embellishments that I'm going to put on the front here. It was just a little tiny bit too long, so I just cut the bottom off. Now I've got this little doorknob from Prima that I'm going to put on there. I've marked on the door where I want the door handle to be, so now I'm just going to punch a little hole. These are really kind of cool the way they screw on. There we go. And then this came with a little strip to decorate the door a little bit, make it look more realistic. So I'm just going to glue that on. The way I colored my door is I first sprayed it with a white mist. It was Prima Color Bloom Frost Spray Mist. And then I took some mixed media ink and kind of brushed over it. So there we go. There we have a nice little door. Now I'll put the door here on the front. I'm going to use some score tape for that. This little fairy door comes in a package of 3 different styles. It's really cute. Okay. And there we go. Now our house has a little door. Okay, now the next thing that I'm going to do is simply embellish it. And I'm going to use some chipboard pieces. I'm going to finish fussy cutting this out, and they're probably going to carol there in front of the door. When you're finishing your chipboard pieces, you know, they have little papers on them where they are attached. You want to sand those off so that they look nice and pretty. Sand them, and then you can ink the edges, and that'll make them look really nice and finished. So I'm going to go ahead and embellish this, and then I'll share the finished project with you when I'm done. Okay, I'm back. We've had a flower explosion. This is what I've come up with. I've just put flowers all over the roof, a nice big bow. Now what I want to do is kind of give a snowy effect to everything. So what I've done is I put a little white paint here. I've got a brush, and I don't want much on it. And I'm just lightly dabbling the flowers, the leaves. This is easy to do. The trick is not to have too much paint on your brush. And it really changes the look, and I think it looks kind of cool. So your brush is almost dry, not completely, of course, but. Hi, I'm back with my finished product. I just wanted to share with you some of the techniques and things that I did. To make it look all nice and snowy all over, I sprayed it with Color Bloom Frost Spray Mist. I also used a product called Glitter Snow from Aleene's. I used a trowel to just kind of put some of that around the edges, over top some of the chipboard pieces, a little bit on the roof, just to give it that nice snowy effect. I use stickles, red stickles, to make holly berries here on this little garland I have put up. And I also, my holly leaves had holly berries, so I covered the little berries with red stickles. And then I used icicle stickles on the flowers just to make them be nice and glittery. This is really sparkly. I don't think the camera really picks all that up. And I also used crystal stickles on the leaves so that they have a nice sparkle too. Just lots of white sprayed here and there so that it's all nice and snowy. Over here on the side, I've used an Graphic 45 Staples, an antique metal door pull. Looks like this. And I turned it this way, and then I filled it with roses and greenery and so forth. And that makes a really pretty embellishment. Different chipboard pieces that I used. This is a little fussy cut piece from one of the design papers, but lots of chipboard from the Christmas Carol collection over top of the door and so forth. So that's it. This is a really fun project to make, and it really makes a really good looking gift box or a candy box or even just a piece of decoration for your home. So I want to thank you for joining me today. I know this was a long video, and thank you for sticking with me. Have a very Merry Christmas and very happy holidays. Thanks.